unhappy with the Maga Commission of Inquiry, arguing that some of its leaders were not properly notified before being implicated in the proceedings. Ramaphosa is expected to clarify the party's stance on the commission and its findings so far. The ANC is also beginning to intensify preparations for the upcoming local government elections as it begins the process of selecting its mayoral candidates across the various municipalities. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Boksburg.
Another investigating officer in the Phala matter has denied coercing a state witness to sign a prepared affidavit. The witness, who cannot be named, accused police of making him sign a statement he didn't understand because he's illiterate. The man is an old friend of the three accused burglars, and he's accused of transporting them several times after the robbery at President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm. A trial within a trial is taking place at the Municipal Regional Court in Limpopo to determine whether his signed affidavit to police can be submitted as evidence. A Hawks detective who was present when the witness made the statement says they did not hand him any prepared notes.
That's not true, Your Worship. The statement, the reason we drove all the way to that place was for us to obtain the statement.
The witness claimed he was tortured by police with a plastic bag over his head and repeatedly threatened with arrest if he didn't tell them about the accused burglars. The detective also denied this.
National typed his statement on his laptop. And then after that, we left. We did not take him anywhere. So I do not know of, as I've said, I do not know of his arrest. I do not know of people taking him, putting plastic on his head. I do not know any of those things, Your Worship.
Gauteng police are searching for gunmen behind the murder of 5 people at a tavern in Bron Sprit. 2 people allegedly entered the establishment in Zitobeni yesterday and fired random shots while looking for a patron carrying a gun. The police's Brenda Muridili says 6 people were also injured during the botched robbery.
The injured patron, whose firearm was taken, will be charged with the contravention of the Firearms Control Act, Act 60 of 2000, for the negligent handling of his firearm. The Provincial Murder and Robbery Unit have registered cases of 5 counts of murder, 6 counts of attempted murder, and the Provincial Serious and Violence Crimes Unit is tracing the suspects.
Alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modak and 14 others made a brief appearance in the Western Cape High Court this morning. Modak faces 122 charges related to various crimes, including murder, extortion, money laundering and fraud. The matter was postponed to next Monday after a lengthy 6-month recess due to the presiding judge, Robert Henny, not being available. Henny initially postponed the matter due to being involved in a constitutional court matter. State Prosecutor Greg Volmarin says the prosecution team was informed that Henny would not be available to preside over proceedings today.
We are alive to the fact that our normal presiding officer is not in attendance, but we were duly informed this morning that the matter would be postponed until next week, Monday.
And France's President Emmanuel Macron has accepted Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's resignation just hours after unveiling his cabinet. Macron named Lecornu, a former defense minister, to the post last month. But the largely unchanged cabinet he unveiled late yesterday to work with Lecornu sparked fierce criticism across the political spectrum. Lecornu has faced the task of finding approval in a deeply divided parliament for an austerity budget for next year. This issue has plunged France further into political deadlock. Gold is trading at $3,940.11 an ounce. The rand's at 17.28 to the dollar, 23.20 to the pound, and 20.16 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.55 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving the Alex area heading towards Midrand, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Bacloon interchange. Also leaving the Joburg CBD, expect some delays on the M2 westbound between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road.
It's a fine day in Gauteng with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 29 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to unveil the ANC's Economic Action Plan at the party's National Executive Committee meeting.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, the President's due to speak at the end of the ANC's NEC meeting. We'll take some of that live. We'll bring you analysis on the new political player, Unite for Change. The trial within a trial in the Pala matter is underway. Diane Kohler-Barnard on the ad hoc committee inquiry into police capture. And we'll wrap up the weekend sport. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you. We are waiting for the President to speak at the end of that ANC NEC meeting today about the ANC's economic policy. So we'll go live to Birchwood shortly. But hey, Kaizer Chiefs fans, Sundowns fans particularly, I thought we would just start the show with some excellent sports analysis from the traffic guy.
You know what was the sad
thoughts,
thing?
right?
Yeah, the thing is, when I walked into the studio, Mandy, you gave me a nice high five smile, and then I greeted Palesa, she just gave me the look, and I was like, okay, I understand. But anyway,
because she's a Chiefs fan. But I think it's Sundowns fans. Miguel Cardoso really taking the heat. Eh?
Yeah, well, I get it because, you know, Sundowns is a big team and they've been doing so well in the last few seasons. And this year, the wheels are just coming off. We don't understand why, but I guess it is what it is. But hey, I'm a Pirates fan, so let me talk about us. Me and you, Mandy. Pirates fans. So Pirates are doing very well this season. Mbongazi scoring a crack of a goal that we really needed at the dying minute of the game. And you should see it, Mandy. You'll be like, what?
I need to go watch the highlights. I haven't watched it.
You should go see the highlights. It was like a what? Crazy moment. So we're doing very well. I'm happy. Palesa still has that grumpy face. It's going to be a long day for her because I'm going to be on her back.
I'm interested to hear from Sundowns fans, the way that fans at the Lucas Maripe Stadium, the way that they turned on the players. So I'm interested to hear what Sundowns fans have to say. So send us a WhatsApp voice note, 072-702-1702, 072-567-1567. Well, speaking of Sundowns fans, Alpha Ramashwana is at that ANC NEC meeting for us at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. The ANC NEC has been meeting over the weekend. The President due to deliver closing remarks after the special NEC. And hopefully we're going to get some insight into particularly the economic plan from the ANC. Alpha Ramashwana joining us now. Alpha, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. Don't worry, I won't ask you about football. Tell us about the ANC meeting at the weekend.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Of course, the ANC's National Executive Committee has been meeting over the past 3 days. And like you said, main agenda on that item on the agenda is the state of the country's economy. The party has been concerned with the economy and it has been struggling to grow. And today, in the next few minutes, we're going to see the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa giving us insight on what was discussed behind closed doors over the past 3 days during this special National Executive Committee meeting. And what we do know so far is that the party is going to be presenting a new economic action plan. And they say that over the next 18 months, this so-called action plan will drive economic growth and improve it by just above 3%. So that's what the president is going to be talking to us about later this afternoon. Of course, over the past 3 days, Mandy, they also discussed issues surrounding the next year's local government elections. Every party has started preparing for the 2026 municipal elections, and the ANC has been discussing the candidate selection process for the municipalities. Traditionally, the ANC selects the regional chairperson in the municipality to be the mayoral candidate. But you would have seen in Johannesburg, the DA has went for Action SA, Helen Ziller rather. The DA has went for Helen Ziller, someone who has experience in politics. In Ekurhuleni, Action SA recently announced Xolani Khumalo, who is a popular TV presenter And so the ANC might need to be a little bit more strategic in how they select its candidate for next year's local government elections. We might see them breaking away from tradition of giving the regional chairperson the position to be the mayoral candidate. So that is something that they also discussed here today over the past 3 days. And today, President Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC will give insight as to what the way forward is as far as the framework for the candidate selection process is.
And the Madlanga Commission also being discussed, I understand.
Yes, Mandy, of course we have spent the past few days chatting with our sources and insiders about what was being discussed behind closed doors. You would know that during NEC meetings, the media is not allowed inside, but we do have our people who do give us some of that information. And one of the items that they discussed is the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. It's understood that some in the ANC are not happy with the inquiry, saying that they were not notified that some of their members and senior leaders would be implicated in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Senzo Mkhunu, it was a given that his name would be named in there, but there were the likes of the former ambassador to France, who passed away last week, Nathi Mthethwa, was also named by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and the ANC says they would have loved to be informed about some of these names that would be brought up into the commission. You would know that the evidence leader who drives the evidence of the witnesses at the inquiry has the file of the testimony, so they can see who's going to be named in the inquiry beforehand. And the ANC says they would have loved to know about that. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that from the president of the ANC today.
Alpha, thank you very much. Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, speaking to us there from Birchwood as we wait for the president to speak. So 2 things there. Why should the ANC members be pre-warned about being mentioned at the Madlanga inquiry? I don't understand the logic of that, if it is true. And then also on this issue of candidates for metros, I think the ANC is going to have to break from tradition. I don't think they can put a Dada Morero up against a Helen Zille. I think that they're going to have to be much more strategic about that. What are your thoughts? How do you think the ANC should be looking at this when it comes to mayoral candidates ahead of the local government elections next year?
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Well, the other big political event at the weekend was the announcement from 3 political parties, Build One South Africa, or BOSA, Good and Rise Mzansi, merging to form Unite for Change ahead of the elections. So there's no leader of this organization. There is going to be a leadership by committee, so 2 members from each party are going to lead Unite for Change, and the intention is to contest the local government elections. Now, my thoughts on this: I spent quite a bit of time interviewing Songezo Zibi ahead of for my book, The Deal, which is about the backstory to the GNU negotiations. And he spoke about how he felt that the Moonshot Pact, so that was the arrangement going into the last elections, was a catch and kill ploy by the DA. In other words, the DA got all of the opposition parties together so that they could effectively nullify the other parties. So I wonder, in this arrangement, is this a catch and kill? Does Rise Mzansi nullify BOSA and Good here? Or who do you think stands to win? Who do you think stands to lose from this? Professor Dirk Kotze, political analyst, joins us to give us some analysis on this now. Prof, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. What are your thoughts on this arrangement, this Unite for Change?
Well, it is something which apparently was in the pipeline, although not very much in the public domain. But I think what your introduction, I think, is very accurate and correct from my point of view. And I think it is 3 parties, especially 2 of them, BOSA and Rise Mzansi, where there was high expectations that they might do quite well in last year's elections, which didn't materialize. Good is a party that's going backwards or downwards, and for them, I think their interest is in order to address and to stop that decline. So politically speaking, if you look at the political spectrum, they are very close to each other. And 2 of them are actually sort of split away groups from the DA. And the Good Party is very close to them. Other parties, Action SA and the Patriotic Alliance, strictly speaking, also fits within this group. So I think they have realized that going on their own is certainly not going to be a way forward for them. They are not producing the results. Together, they received only 1% in last year's national elections, only a total of 5 out of the 400 seats. So it was not impressive at all from their point of view, and I think the expectations of the public more in general. So this is a process of consolidation, I would say. There's not many examples of them, so it's very difficult to predict. The only party really that's today prominent that is a product of mergers is the DA, that over many years have formed different forms of combinations of parties or mergers. They have made to a large extent a success of it, but whether a very small parties that comes from a very low base, whether they can do it and make a substantial difference, I'm not sure about that.
What do you make of this argument of William Gumede saying that with the ANC losing support, we are going to see a more centrist political centre in terms of pro-constitution, pro-rule of law, pro-entrepreneurs, non-revolutionary. And then on the other side, we'll see populist, violent, ideologically dated gangster parties. So in other words, increasingly the constitutionalists versus the anti-constitutionalists and our political landscape forming in that way.
Yes, I think to some extent he is accurate about that. And I think when he talks about those who are maybe not so constitutionalist, then it's mainly the MK party. What we've seen last year with the election is that the ANC lost primarily to the MK party, as first of all in KwaZulu-Natal, but secondly also in Gauteng, and then to a lesser extent in some of the other provinces. So these parties now are, in a sense that we are talking about this merger, are actually not going to compete against the ANC, but against the DA in terms of the political positions that they occupy at the moment. So there is, except for MK party, and some now predict that the EFF might make a comeback. I'm not sure about that. But they are the first who will be able to pick up losses from the ANC. And especially in the provinces where the MK did quite well last year. So I don't see these parties really going into attracting direct support from former ANC supporters. I think because remember, this is going to be also a local government election. The voter turnout is significantly lower, has always been, than that of national and provincial elections. And part of it is because the youth are voting even less for local government elections. And what I've heard with this merger, this announcement, is that they want specifically to focus on the youth. And that will be a major turnaround if they can succeed in that respect. But so far the signs are not very promising for that.
Prof, thank you so much. Professor Dirk Kotze, political analyst, speaking to us about the announcement of Unite for Change. So Bosa, Good and Rise Mzansi coming together. Do you think this is a catch and kill ploy like where the Moonshot Pact was? Or do you think this is necessary because the alternative is a vote that is really split? I'm always cynical about a coming together like this where there's a lack of leadership. So after the local government elections, what actually happens for the national elections? Do they contest that as well? Is there one leader on the ballot? How is that going to work? But in the short term, maybe it's a good idea to not split that centrist vote, to rather have one organization as they are coming forward together.
The ANC members are so used to having so much control over stuff that they don't even need to control. I mean, what do you mean when you say you need to be alerted that you're going to be implicated? That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm in Ekurhuleni, so I'm going with Xolani. Definitely going with Xolani. Tired of politicians. They suck at what they do.
Hey Mandy, Cole here. Yeah, Dada Moreira against Helen Ziller is like an old granny and an old VW against George Russell. If they field Moreira as their candidate for the mayoral position in Joburg, it's dead in the water. I still don't think the DA will get a majority on their own, but if they field Moreira, they're going to get sub 10%. Helen will get 35 on her own, and then form a coalition with Action SA. Yep, Moreira has destroyed Joburg. He needs to go.
Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Josie, my Josie, a city made of swag, passion and resilience. Over here, we rise with the sun. Namateksi. We are a city of doers, creators and believers. When we unite, yonke into iyahlangana. From corner offices to corner veggie stores or corner preacher and receipt. Josie, my Josie, a city where even those who were not born here are made here. Yabona la, citizenship is awarded to the curious. There's magic and beauty in our city, so we call on everyone to come experience it. Babiza bonke to come see Josie and all its people, because this city is all of us. Come witness our citizens do it. Babiza bonke to come see the actions of the invisibles, those building our city from the ground up, so we have a home we can all proudly call Josie, my Josie. Visit josiemyjosie.com to see how Josie does it.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a nervous but excited first-time driver waiting for the perfect gap to switch lanes. I can do this. The pressure. The Outsurance pointsman know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a sense of freedom and independence on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
This measure, Mandy, reminds me of Mampele Rampele and Helen Zille. Backfired. Rise, Bosa, good, should have also came out with a clear strategy of who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the face of this so-called UFC. So for me, it's just a waste of time. But anyway, the lesser the political parties, the better. That's the only positive thing about it. It's less political parties.
Hey, cannot believe it. Man United won a game and not even conceding a goal. But Sunday, they play a wounded Liverpool team. Hey, feel very sorry for Man United.
Man United won a game. Thank you so much. Hey, I didn't realize that Unite for Change is UFC. The sub-editors must be having dreams about when this thing falls apart and the wrestling analogies and MMA analogies. Can you imagine? UFC. I'd love to hear your voice notes. Send them through. What are your thoughts on Unite for Change? And my thought, I told you, about whether or not it's a catch and kill going forward. But send through more WhatsApp voice notes, 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567.
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays 12 to 1 p.m.
The trial within a trial in the Pala Pala matter continuing. A state witness accused the police of making him sign a prepared statement. That witness is an old friend of the three accused. He allegedly drove them around after the robbery. Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter, has been in court for us. Tabiso, good afternoon to you. I understand some issues around the translator there.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Yes, actually, today's proceedings have been cut short. They've been cut short about an hour ago. The three accused persons have raised issues with the court interpreter. Now, I do have to say that the court interpreter is interpreting in Oshivambo. It's a Namibian language, Mandy, and the three accused, obviously, they are South African, but there is there's a very small community in Belabela here in Limpopo where there's just people of both Namibian and South African descent. So the three accused, they've asked to be translated in Oshivambo. This is not the first time they've actually raised issues with the court interpreter. So because of that, due to the fact that obviously it's very difficult to find an Oshivambo court interpreter in South Africa, the magistrate was left with no choice but to adjourn today's proceedings until Wednesday, when they will look for a new court interpreter. And I do have to say, it's not actually going to be an easy one, because I heard that there's only just about two of them in the entirety of South Africa. Another one is based in like the Western Cape. So it will be interesting to see how this case moves on forward with a new court interpreter or not.
That's fascinating. I mean, you'd think they're a neighboring country. We should be able to find someone. There was a little bit of testimony, though, by a Hawks detective. Tell us about that.
Yes. So as you said in your intro, Mandy, there is a state witness who alleged that the statement that he signed, or the affidavit that he signed, he doesn't know anything about it. He told the court that, one, he is illiterate, he can't read or write. So whatever he signed, he can't obviously be accountable for it. And now, obviously, there was a trial within a trial to determine whether the signed affidavits will be admitted as evidence. Last week, there was one of the investigating officers that testified and said that this guy he gave the statement freely and voluntarily, and he can actually read. Today, there was a second investigating officer, and this is what she had to say in court.
Your Worship, I don't think me as a police officer, I can go and threaten somebody and say, I will arrest you. If I have to arrest you, I will arrest you. That is part of my duties. What we went there for the statement, and we approached him as a witness, not as a suspect. If we wanted to arrest him, I believe we were going to arrest him. So I do not think one police officer can decide to threaten a person. I personally cannot threaten a person, so we did not.
Tabiso Goba, thank you very much for that audio of a Hawks investigator there in the Phala Phala matter. One other court case we're looking at as well that is happening at the moment is the three men linked to the murder of slain ANC politician Sindiso Magra appearing in the Pietermaritzburg High Court. And Nhlanhla Mabaso on that one for us. And Nhlanhla, take us through, good afternoon, take us through what's happening there.
For the first time, the former Umzimkhulu municipal manager, Stanley Skosana, appeared here in the Pietermaritzburg High Court alongside his co-accused, that's former police officer Sibusiso Mieza and Sibonelo Mieza rather, as well as Mbulelo Mpofana, the former businessman. These two are also accused by the state of having played a role in the murder case of Sindiso Magra. Recall that Stanley Skosana was arrested back in 2018 but released due to insufficient evidence. The political trust team probed the case and in July this year arrested him. Last month, the magistrate court in Umzimkhulu denied him bail, saying that he failed to argue his case, basically. So today they appeared here in court together, and their new legal representatives were placed on record. He's now represented by senior counsel, that's Advocate Van Schalwyk, Christo van Schalwyk, who told the court here that he is not ready to proceed with the trial, saying that the indictments were served fairly at a very late stage, asking for yet another postponement in this case to, get to familiarize in case. Well, as far as Advocate Mvune and the other advocate, Shane Matthews, who are representing the other two, these are people who've been in this case for the longest time, and they say they are ready to proceed. But then the state drops a bombshell. Advocate Lawrence Gaba argues that given the fact that Advocate Shane Matthews used to represent the other accused, Sibusiso Nyengwa, who's now been sentenced, you'd recall that he pleaded guilty, the actual hitman, he pleaded guilty to the charges implicating the former municipal manager and the other two accused in the matter. Now, with the fact that Shane used to represent him in this murder case, the state is arguing that he cannot therefore be able to cross-examine him now that he's turned 204 witness and is the key and crucial witness for the state in this murder case. But those arguments are continuing. But the court has adjourned mainly to allow for both the parties, the defense and the prosecution, to agree on a date as to when this matter should return. The matter was stood down for about 40 minutes for them to make that decision, mainly, but they came back to court saying that they could not find each other. Then the judge Titi, they also then saying, okay, I'm standing the matter down again for the next 2 hours. Go meet in chambers and then come back with a consensus on a particular date, man.
Mklanhla, thank you very much. Mklanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, with an update for us there on what is happening in the Pietermaritzburg High Court with the case of Sindiso Magra. 12:31, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to unveil the ANC's Economic Action Plan at the party's National Executive Committee meeting. The special NEC meeting will wrap up today at the Birchwood Hotel. On the agenda, discussions on the state of the economy, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, and candidate selection for next year's local government elections. Another investigating officer in the Phala matter has denied coercing a state witness to sign a prepared affidavit. The witness, who cannot be named, accused police of making him sign a statement he didn't understand because he's illiterate. The man is an old friend of the 3 accused burglars and he's accused of transporting them several times after the robbery at President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm. And delegations from Hamas, Israel and the United States are due to convene for talks in Egypt. Both Hamas and Israel have responded positively to Trump's proposal for an end to the fighting and release of captives in Gaza in exchange for Palestinians held in Israeli jails. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News, more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Thalagele Mganga. We started the World Cup where the Proteas women are taking on New Zealand in their second tournament game. The White Ferns are currently at the crease on 51 for the loss of 2 in the 15th over. Batting is Georgie Plimmer on 15 alongside Sophie Devine on 0. Meanwhile, Amajita are through to the last 16 of the Under-20 World Cup following their 2-1 win over the United States in their last group game. South Africa will next play Colombia on Wednesday, while coach Raymond Daka has congratulated his side for their resilience and good temperament.
It looks like it was a mountain to climb, but then we agreed as a team to say, let's show up what we can as a team, and I'm happy because we showed the character. You see, the score were in the first half, and you have to play the second half and be able to maintain and manage the game under pressure.
The Carling Knockout quarterfinals will see Golden Arrows facing TS Galaxy. Orlando Pirates play defending champions Magesi. It's Richards Bay up against Durban City, while Marumo Gallants take on Stellenbosch. Steadies advance, having beaten Kaizer Chiefs on penalties. Ahead of that shootout, goalkeeper Fasten Dware refused to be substituted for Bruce Vuma, and co-coach Cedric Kaze has discussed whether there'll be consequences for those actions.
I believe in that kind of situation, it's something that we're going to handle internally, but he felt that he was comfortable to go on the penalty and help the team. He was coming from a good intention. Maybe the way wasn't as good as it should be, but it's something that we will address internally.
Thalagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards Midrand, leaving Alex, there's still bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is in the Calvin area, N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Bacloon interchange. Also leaving the Joburg CBD, traffic remains a bit sluggish on Main Reef Road, M2 between the Crown interchange and Church Street. Also in the Mother City, look out for an accident scene in the Pero area. This is on Voortrek Road, approaching McIntyre Street. There's also slow-moving traffic on the N2 outbound. This is approaching Somerset West, and keep in mind the Huguenot Tunnel is still closed off to traffic. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
So Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to We Buy Cars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present and
And it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about WeBuyCars?
All of my friends are using WeBuyCars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Tone. Graduated and upgraded. WeBuyCars. Geared for success. Geared for you.
Unlock exciting bonus prizes when you top up your Betway account with a Betway Bucks voucher. From millions in cash and bonuses to extra bets and so much more, every top up is a chance to score big. Head over to leading retailers, including Pick n Pay, Checkers, Pep Stores, and Incredible Connection, and top up with Betway today. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Good afternoon, Mandy and team. Kingsley from Germiston. I think we are living in a populist personality era of politics. And if that is true, then I struggle to see how the new pact between Rise Mzansi, Good, and Bossa is going to work, because there's no clear leadership, and you also divide the electorate that may be particularly loyal to a particular sort of policy or political approach, and now you marrying them or aligning them with other parties that they may fundamentally disagree with. I don't see it working. I don't see how it's going to work.
Good day, Mandy. This witness in the Phala trial, who claims to be illiterate, they are illiterate, but they signed the statement. If you're illiterate, you can't read or write. So how are they signing? Did they sign with an X? I know it's nitpicking, but honestly, how did they sign if they're illiterate? Tsepo, Soweto.
I think this is the matter under debate, if I understood correctly. And then, of course, the issue around the translator as well, that they're trying to get clarity on. And this, of course, could all come back to bite the prosecution down the line, which is why they're trying to sort it out. Thank you for those WhatsApp voice notes coming through. I'm particularly interested in your views on the mayoral candidates. Klengani says, hi, Mandy. My take on Xolani Khumalo being mentioned as a mayoral candidate for Ekurhuleni. I think it's a good move considering his bravery. Crime associated with drugs cartel destroyed the city economy. These results to a high unemployment, mostly women and youth. And then Michelle says, Mandy, perhaps the ANC have run out of cadres to deploy, along with good ideas on how to run the country, let alone a major city like Joburg. I hope Helen Zille does get the mayor position. Keen to see what she will do with it. The question there was, can the ANC actually follow what it normally does around putting up mayoral candidates, or would they have to put up different candidates like celebrities, like pulling in people from other spheres, I suppose. The president has just started speaking at the ANC NEC meeting. Let's listen in there briefly, and then we're going to bring you some analysis from Africa Check on Helen Zille's comments on the campaign trail. But first, let's go to Birchwood, where the president is speaking after that special NEC meeting.
Now is on the economic action plan. This NEC meeting follows an extensive discussion that the NEC held in August 2025 where we discussed the state of the economy and outlined the key actions that need to be taken to give effect to the medium-term development plan that has been adopted by government. The discussion was informed by the 3 strategic priorities of the 7th administration. Firstly, to drive inclusive growth and job creation, and secondly, to reduce poverty and also tackle the high cost of living, and thirdly, to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. We are, in discussing all these matters, guided by the resolutions of the ANC's 55th National Conference of December 2022, as well as of December 2024, and the Provincial Elections Manifesto that we have crafted, which reaffirmed our commitment to a fundamental transformation of our country's economy. The NEC reaffirmed our commitment to broad-based black economic empowerment to ensure that we correct the injustices of our past and end the inequality of the present moment. As the ANC, we have identified specific interventions to advance the vision of the National Development Plan and the economic program of the government and the medium-term development plan. These interventions are intended to support government's proposed implementation plan on growth and inclusion, and which inform the annual performance plans of various government departments.
President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking at Birchwood after that ANC special NEC meeting. We'll go back there a bit later on as he speaks about the economic plan of the ANC. But in the interim, let's speak about comments that the DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Helen Zille, has been making, because Africa Check has fact-checked. And this is going to be so important going into the local government elections. And the same, of course, I imagine will be applied to all of the mayoral candidates, because there's one thing for a mayoral candidate to say things on the election campaign trail, another thing to actually be speaking the truth and to have it verified as well. Kaylee Clifford is the Deputy Chief Editor at Africa Check. Kaylee, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time today. Tell us what exactly you've done here and why, and is this going to be something you're going to continue throughout the local government election campaign?
Hi, Mandy. Yes, absolutely. Africa Check engages in several activities geared towards improving information integrity, and fact-checking is just one of them. So in the run-up to local government elections next year, we will definitely be keeping a close eye on claims made by both politicians and political parties, so that when voters head to the booths, they are accurately informed. And we did some of that fact-checking work on some claims that Helen Zille made just a couple of weeks ago during an interview with Anele and Dota. I'm sure listeners will know the interview I'm talking about that went quite viral online.
It certainly did. Everywhere you went, people were talking about it. So let's go through some of those comments that she made, and you give a verdict whether it's correct or incorrect. So let's look at the first one is: water and sewer pipes need regular replacement to prevent the infrastructure from wearing out. The city of Joburg has replaced 17 kilometers of pipe in a year. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, so this was based off of a claim that Helen Zille made that Johannesburg has only replaced 17 kilometers of water pipe in a year, and that is correct. Data from 2023, 2024 supports that. It's the latest year that we have information available for. And by the city's own admission, it's far less than what they need to be doing every year. It's actually around 175 kilometers that they need to be doing, and they've only done 17 in the 2023-24 financial year.
And then she says Cape Town does over 200 kilometers a year.
Yes, although this is incorrect. Again, data for 2023-2024 is the most recent available, and it shows that they only replaced 32 kilometers of water pipe that year. So it's quite a lot less than the 200 kilometers that Helen Zille claimed.
and then her comment, and has been doing over 200 kilometers since 2006, a reference there to Cape Town's pipe network.
Yes, also incorrect. So we looked as far back as 2019, and since then the city has replaced anywhere from 16 kilometers to 56 kilometers, but never as high as 200 kilometers.
And then Helen Zille said that Joburg spends less on water system maintenance than any other city in the country. Is that correct or incorrect?
We've rated this claim as incorrect as well. Joburg has typically allocated around 1 billion to water system maintenance annually, and other metropolitan municipalities, including Cape Town, have spent less than that. If you look at Buffalo City, for example, they've not spent more than 5 million in recent years. And then you've got Nelson Mandela Bay as well that consistently spends less than 100 million.
Helen Zille also saying in that interview with Anele that Joburg loses 46% of its water, almost 50%. This is a big issue for residents in Joburg, the fact that we are losing this amount of water. Was this correct or incorrect?
That's correct. When we talk about water wastage or how much water is lost, we need to look at something called non-revenue water. It's the difference between how much water is in the system and how much water is actually being billed for. And it's not necessarily just leaks. It can also be commercial losses from faulty metering or theft, for example. And Johannesburg's figure for that is currently 46%, almost half of its water. So that is correct. And it's way above the international benchmark of 15%. And an expert explained to us that it's the result of years of neglect, non-investment, and poor planning.
Katie, thank you so much. Katie Clifford, Deputy Chief Editor at Africa Check. They have fact-checked Helen Zille's interview with Anele on 947. And interesting, we'll try and touch in with Africa Check throughout the local government election campaign. Important to be holding the politicians to account.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
12:48 on the Midday Report. The Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and the Standing Committee on the Auditor General meeting with Eastern Cape municipalities this week to discuss underperformance. They're in Port Edward today. Let's find out about that with Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN reporter. Lindsay, good afternoon to you. What is the intention here from the Portfolio Committees?
Good afternoon, Mandy. Well, the Portfolio Committees, this is the fourth province that they are visiting, and they are going from province to really get to the bottom and understand the many issues that I think many of us already know about that are besetting municipalities across the country. And they are in the Eastern Cape, as you pointed out this weekend, and starting with the provincial executive to find out exactly what they are or are not doing to step in at these municipalities. And I think so far this morning, what has really come out, as we know, the Eastern Cape is perpetually looked at as a province of severe under-delivery, of underperformance, of lack of infrastructure. But we hear today about the millions and millions of rand that is having to be returned to Treasury at the end of financial years because they are simply not spending the money that is being sent to them to build this very critical infrastructure that's needed in the province. And the provincial government NECs of cooperative governance and finance in particular are pointing the fingers of blame largely at the two metro municipalities in that province, both with qualified audits in the past financial year and both responsible for huge chunks of money, Nelson Mandela Bay in particular, of underspending. And what makes it even worse, Mandy, is that the MECs tell the parliamentary committees that despite the interventions they say they are making, they don't see that things are going to improve very much in the coming year at least.
Lindsay, thank you very much. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN reporter, speaking to us there about the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and the Standing Committee on the Auditor General meeting with Eastern Cape municipalities this week.
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
Now, the ad hoc committee probing allegations made by KZN Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi due to begin tomorrow. There has been some debate around the role of DA MP Diane Kohler-Barnard, as her name was mentioned by Mkhwanazi before the Madlanga Commission. She is, of course, a member of the ad hoc committee. And Diane Kohler-Barnard joining us now. Diane, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for your time. Firstly, preparations ahead of tomorrow, is all on track, or do we expect anything to derail the ad hoc committee?
I think everything's on track. The chairperson seems to be satisfied. There are witnesses lined up. I think these presenters, one must understand, many of them were involved in the Madlanga Commission. And so we were delayed somewhat because they were simply not available. But yeah, they'll start tomorrow. The entire day will be presentations by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, and we'll progress from there.
Diane, your personal role as a member of the ad hoc committee, you were named by General Mkhwanazi before the Madlanga Commission. He accused you of unlawfully using classified information to fuel attacks on the Crime Intelligence Unit. Is there a conflict in your role? Do you need to recuse yourself, or how are you going to proceed?
No, absolutely not. I don't know if you saw, but I put out a statement immediately after his claims. The Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence was only constituted about 2 months after I asked questions about a media report which outed Crime Intelligence for buying a boutique hotel in Pretoria. I put out a statement the next day or a few days later on that, and he basically says I had broken the law, I'm a criminal, and I'm part of a criminal syndicate. He could, of course, just phone me and ask me if the Joint Standing Committee had been sitting at that stage, but he did not. So I'm hoping tomorrow he'll finally apologize and retract the claims. Well, we'll see. He's up first. And certainly we can't have SAPS members attempting to shut down parliamentarians doing their job. Our oath is, after all, first and foremost to the country. And asking questions about leaks from various entities, this is something I've done for the 21 years I've been in Parliament. Following up on claims made by journalists, and usually they're very credible. So, of course, I asked the questions, and of course, I went to the Inspector General of Intelligence and asked him to investigate, which he agreed to do.
Are you expecting an apology tomorrow, or are you expecting him to bring an application for you to recuse yourself?
Well, I'm not holding my breath. I don't believe he's the sort of person who would apologize. But he didn't do his homework. Just claiming I'd spoken out of the committee that didn't exist was absolutely bizarre. And I obviously categorically deny what he had to say. Work-wise, he really has nothing to do with the JSCI. So I'm not at all convinced he's come up with these accusations of his own volition. So I'm not sure what his motive is behind this or why it all came out the way it did. But nothing's going to stop me doing my job, that's for sure.
And just lastly, Diane, is there a concern that we could see a duplication from the ad hoc committee of what's happening at the Madlanga inquiry?
Well, I must admit that did concern me. But I think there's a very strong legal team behind this ad hoc commission, and they've gone very carefully through what has been covered already. And I think the direction will be to fill in the gaps, to look for solid proof of accusations. Well, I know the Madlanga Commission, they have their forensic experts who will be going through and doing more than just joining the dots verbally, as we heard so much of. So it all needs very hard proof, and we have other areas that we need to examine very closely. But yes, I'm absolutely a member of the committee, and I have no intention of withdrawing.
Diane, thank you very much. Diane Kohler-Barnard, DA MP and member of the ad hoc committee on the police capture, if you like, that's due to begin tomorrow. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Experience extraordinary with the new iPhone 17, 256 gig from Vodacom, Zanzi's winning 5G network. More delightful, more durable, and now available. Get yours on a 3 gig red core plan from $899 per month over 36 months, plus a free extended warranty. Be the first to get it today. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Feather together. Vodacom. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a work commuter. She's done this route 1,000 times. Perhaps she's daydreaming of a different job or just counting down to the weekend. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just another car in traffic. It's anticipation on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap.
On 702 and Cape Talk.
Wanda Mateza joining us in studio to wrap up the weekend sport. We have to start with the Springboks. Of course, victorious against Argentina at Twickerfontein. Did you see that sign?
Yeah.
How good was that sign? At Twickersfontein. What was the rest of it? Where the beer is
the beer is very expensive. Yeah.
Basically, the beer is very expensive and other stuff, and it's very cold.
Yeah.
I can't say on the radio.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, good afternoon, Mandy. It was not a brilliant performance from the Springboks, but one that was just efficient. And I think that's what they just wanted to do, is to get the victory. I don't think it was going to be anywhere near as flashy as the weekend before in Durban, if you factor in the travel and the fact that sometimes you just want to go back to the basics and make sure that you get the results that you need in the end. And in the end, they ended up defending the Rugby Championship title for the very first time, which almost seems unlikely when you think about it. But yeah, Springbok Rugby is in a good position as well, with 3 wins in a row now ahead of the Autumn Nations Series and end-of-year tour coming in November.
Kaizer Chiefs Mamelodi Sundowns eliminated in the first round of the Carling Knockout Cup. We spoke about this with our... you weren't here, so we spoke to the traffic guy. Because he has feelings.
Oh, no, he'll be happy with his team winning on Saturday. Orlando Pirates. Yeah, I would imagine he was. But yeah, a little bit of a concern for Kaizer Chiefs as well as Mamelodi Sundowns. Unexpected results, no doubt about that. But I think it calls into question some of their coaching situations with Chiefs.
Cardoso's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of... I don't know a single Sundowns fan who is happy with Cardoso at the moment. I mean, they're still top of the table in the Betway Premiership, but they're not playing the sort of football that makes Sundowns fans happy. And there's a lot of times when they struggle, like was the case on Saturday against Marumo Gallants. And I think he's walking on thin ice at the moment. While with Chiefs, I think they need to clear up their coaching situation, because I think with the situation that happened in their match with the goalkeeper not wanting to come off for the penalty shootout and being substituted is a little bit of disrespect. And I think it probably calls into, I don't think a guy does that with a person who's there permanently. So I think, there's a little bit of friction there. And I think both those teams probably will use this international break to sort those out.
Proteas women are playing at the moment against New Zealand.
Yeah, well, they're doing better, but that's only because...
It's not hard.
Yeah, it's only the bowlers that have performed so far. A lot of the Proteas women's success depends on their batters, and the batters didn't come to the party in the game against England. And if that happens a lot more often in this tournament, then they have no chance. Quite simply, Laura Volfart, Tasman Brits, Sune Lees, and a couple of others need to come to the party, and that is going to be the backbone of any sort of Proteas success that they're going to get at the tournament.
And very quickly, drama at the F1 in Singapore.
Oh, papaya rules, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
With McLaren and their teammates going head-to-head in the first lap. And I think... now that the Constructors' Championship is done and dusted, the two of them can just fight it out. Yeah, exactly, for the title going into the rest of the season. I think it's going to make for a really, really good competition. And with that, I think it opens up the door for Max Verstappen to possibly sneak in.
Never. I love you and your predictions. Love
I said
it.
possibly. That
Love
was
it.
not a prediction.
Mwande, thank you so much. Mwande Mateza, wrapping up the weekend's sport for us. So I can tell you that there is the president has just finished speaking at the ANC NEC special meeting. He's taking questions now, saying that they require urgent intervention when it comes to the economy. So let's see what comes of that. Thanks for listening. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk was brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Ramaphosa unveils ANC's new economic action plan, and Hamas, Israel and the US to meet under one roof. Good afternoon, I'm Khomotso Modise. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa is unveiling